Hi everyone, it's Joe here from Lawn Solutions Australia, and today I'm joined by special guest Brenton Kliem. Brenton, you're probably all familiar with Brenton. He runs a YouTube channel called the Aussie Lawn, which just ticked over 16,000 subscribers, and Brenton's been kind enough to drive down from Scone to Berry today. So we'd like to welcome Brenton to the show and welcome Brenton to
Thanks,
Berry.
mate. Yeah, happy to be here.
Good to have you. It's he's kind of got a bit lucky. He left Scone where it's scorching hot, and he's come to Berry where it's scorching hotter.
It's more humid.
More humid, 37 today.
Mm.
But what we're going to talk about today, obviously Brenton's quite well known in the turf world, the online turf world, with so many subscribers and so many videos. But let's skip back as we've done before and chat from the beginning. You didn't just rock up and jump in and get started on lawn videos. So
No, I did not.
where did it all start from and the passion for lawns come from?
Probably as a kid. So as a kid, I grew up in Lilydale, which is a suburb just the other side of Penrith there, across the Nepean River. Mm-hmm. And we backed on to Lilydale Golf Course.
Right.
So I would spend my days as a kid preschool watching all the mowers go past. And I'm like, one day I'm going to do that.
Yep.
And that never went away. Mm. And then as I went through school, I didn't go much on school, and I didn't like school, and school didn't like me. So given the opportunity, the conditions were I could leave school at year 10 if I had an apprenticeship. Right. So I did. I got the apprenticeship and I became an apprentice greenkeeper.
So that was straight out of school. So that's like 15, 16 years old?
Yeah, 16, whatever year 10 is at the time.
And what golf club were you at?
So I started at Glenmore Golf Club,
yep,
which is on Mulgoa Road, but it was actually then changing hands, and it was brought out by a Korean fella who basically turned it into Glenmore Heritage Valley.
Right.
So he turned 18 holes into 27.
Right.
So my apprenticeship was pretty fortunate. So we built 9 holes from scratch as an apprentice. We renovated 9 greens and 9 holes, and we left 9 holes untouched. So I had a really fortunate apprenticeship because I got to see construction, maintenance, and establishment.
And how long did you stay at that golf club for? Was that a long career there? Or
that was the apprenticeship period, and then their policy was to turn over.
Okay.
Yep.
Right.
So then from there, I went to Fox Hills, which is Toongabbie. I was there for a little while. Then I came back to Wallacia, which was Wallacia Panthers.
Right.
And then I gave it away for a little while. I had a little break from greenkeeping.
Yeah. And
then finally got back into it at the Vintage up in the Hunter Valley.
Okay, right.
So I was there for just over 12 months.
Yeah.
And then I decided it was time for other adventures.
Was it everything you sort of always thought it would be going into the greenkeeping world, or was it different to how you first imagined?
No, I really enjoyed my time there.
Yeah.
I guess the biggest problem when you're a greenkeeper working there, and if you want to progress in life and have, a comfortable existence, unfortunately, from a trade perspective, the money's not there.
Yeah.
And that's a shame because I really enjoyed the job. I liked being outside. I liked starting early. I liked finishing early. It was just unfortunate that I sort of started to fall out of love with the job because it was just a job. And
it's a common thing
it is.
Trade, isn't it?
It's unfortunate. I feel now also it's probably a bit of a dying trade.
Yes.
The course I did was condensed, and I think it's condensed and condensed and condensed again. And before you know it, I don't think the course today is a patch on what I did back in the day.
Yeah, okay.
So, yeah.
No, it's a common thing because it's such a demanding job. You've got to put up a pristine turf service. You've got to work long hours. You've got to start early, and the salary is often not quite there.
That's the problem.
Yeah,
I think if the money was there, I'd probably still be there.
Yeah, and turf grass wise, when you got into it, were they all warm season grasses then?
All warm season grasses, bar the greens, which were Pencross creeping bent. So we had bent greens.
Yep. And
at the time, we were running. Our back 9 was Greenleys Park.
Yep.
Our front 9 was at the time Windsor Green. So I think Windsor Green was only just coming out back in the mid-90s there then when we got it.
Right.
And then the extra 9 there was Kaikiu.
And at that time, was the home lawn looking like your home lawn does now? Was that a passion as well?
My main goal was to save up my money. And you didn't get much as an apprentice.
Yeah.
And I actually bought a Scott Bonner. I bought a brand new, it was when they were the red ones. I bought one brand new as an apprentice.
Wow.
And we had Cooch at home. And so I started to tinker then.
And I think from obviously you're not a greenkeeper now. So you went back to the Vintage for a 12-month period and that was it for greenkeeping?
That was it, yeah. From there I decided I love it, but I need to do something else.
Yeah.
So, and then obviously, like most people in the valley, I got into mining and I've been there ever since.
And we're jumping away from turf a little bit now, but mining, you work in an open cut mine.
Yeah, open cut.
Different to what we have around here.
Yeah. So open cut, one of the larger pits going around. So I work at BHP pit, Mount Arthur Coal.
Yep.
And yeah, so yeah, big hole in the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. So it started from looking over the back fence and seeing a nice golf course, seeing nice well-cut grass. Then so you thought you'd jump into that industry. So you started doing it yourself. And was it something you always wanted to do, is look after your own lawn and tell people about it? Or is this something that's only happened pretty recently?
It's probably something that's happened pretty recently. And it was sort of back when we started to see a few lawn pages pop up. And I sort of threw the idea around, I should start one specifically for the Hunter Valley, because it was very, I guess, specific to the area, so relatable to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, why am I limiting myself? You know, and I never did anything with it. I just sat with the idea and it sat there. And then Ben Sims, so Ben's got another channel. Ben's got Lawn Tips.
Yes.
And we struck up a bit of a friendship through a few social media outlets, and he had already started his channel and he was ticking along quite nicely. And he said to me, one day, you need to start a channel. I said, nah, people don't want to listen to me. Carry on. Like, you know, he said, no, I promise you, start a channel, because I think people are going to enjoy what you got to say. And I sat on that for a while too. I don't rush these things.
Yeah.
And then one day I went, bugger it, I'm going to do it. And I got into it.
Right. So how long ago are we talking now? How long's the channel been actually going for?
2 and a little bit years, I reckon.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 and a little bit years, I'd say.
Yeah.
And at first I was really shy in front of the camera. Like if I was doing anything at the front, and even a car was coming up the road, I put the camera away and go inside. I was like, oh, this is really embarrassing, but don't care now.
So did you have any previous camera experience?
No, I knew nothing. I hate cameras. I knew nothing about them.
Yeah.
I knew nothing about editing. I just basically started and just self-learnt as I went. I've got no formal qualification in using cameras or editing software or anything. I just started and I just tinkered. And
what a lot of people probably don't understand is they watch your channel, they see the quality of videos. You do everything yourself.
I do everything from go to woe,
from
holding the camera to doing the editing, to doing the upload, everything. It's a one-man show.
And we see your videos out all the time. What's it typically take you? Obviously, it probably takes a day to shoot a lot of it, and then to edit it and get it right?
Yeah, absolutely. You can wipe out a whole day.
Yeah.
You can wipe out a whole day for a 10-minute video.
Yeah.
So, for example, you know, you might have a 200 square metre front lawn and you can mow that lawn in, 15 minutes maybe? Yeah. If I'm going to video me mowing that lawn, you can double or triple that time just to mow a lawn. Like everything, as soon as you're filming stuff, everything takes ridiculously longer. Everything's stretched right out. So
yeah. And what do the neighbours think now?
At first, we'll see.
Because you're at a pretty prominent spot, from what I understand, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. I am. At first, even before just backtracking a little bit, before we got onto the whole doing the Aussie Lawn channel, etc. My renovations at home were enough to spin out the neighbourhood.
Right.
So one day there's green grass, the next day it's brown as brown can be, and I'm sure for a few times there the neighbours thought I'd absolutely lost my marbles.
Yeah.
And they're like, what are you doing? But now it's like, oh yeah, he's doing that thing again. That's going to look amazing.
Yeah.
So that's sort of, now they don't even raise an eyelid. But back in the day, it was like, what is this bloke doing?
And what did your mates think when you started putting your mug on YouTube?
I actually kept it pretty quiet.
Did you?
Didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
I just did it. And then as it started to gain a bit of traction, people were like, are you on YouTube? I'm like, maybe. So, and they're like, oh, it's really cool. And I was like, are you just being supportive or do you mean that? And it's like, I just need to go with it. And that's at that point, I was like, I just need to roll with it. Yeah. If I'm doing this, I've just got to do it.
And you're obviously pretty good because a lot of people listen to you and a lot of people watch. And you told me just before that you've been pretty good.
I did not.
What was the moment where it really kicked off? Obviously, you start with 0 subscribers. Now you got 16,000. And some of your views, you'd know your highest view count video.
About 130,000 or something.
It'd be over 100. Now, what was the moment that really took the channel off? Was it a particular video?
I think I've got to give credit where credit's due. I think a lot of it happened when I did a joint video with Ben. Right. So Ben came over and like people sort of came across. But that probably jumped my subscriber base from a few hundred to maybe a few thousand.
Right.
And then from there, it's just continued to tick away.
Pretty gradual. Yeah, Still growing now, obviously.
Still growing now. Yeah. As I said, we just clicked over the 16,000 about a couple of days ago.
Yep.
So,
that's awesome.
pretty happy with that really for the age.
And how do you keep coming up with fresh new content ideas? I know you got a mini turf farm at your house. I think there's about 100 different cultivars there, but you're fortunate enough to have a pretty big block?
Yes, I'm just shy of an acre.
Yeah.
My biggest problem there is water. So although we have town water, the cost of that town water is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And there's no groundwater available.
Right.
So it's not like I could put a bore down because it's not. What is there is going to be not usable. It's too salty.
Yeah.
And that's if you find it.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of limited by water, not by land.
Right.
But yeah.
So we spoke about, I mentioned before, just coming up with different ideas for content. Why don't you tell everyone what's at your house now, species-wise, and the purpose of that particular area? I know you've got a green out the back, for example.
Yeah, so I've got the green. The green at the back is cooch.
Yeah.
And look, if I was able to have a cool season green, I would, but it's just not possible.
You don't have the water?
The water, I don't have the funds to support the water.
Yeah.
So I thought, I've never really had shortcut greens height cooch. I'm going to give that a whirl. So we did the green.
Cut at what height?
Currently 5, but looking to go down. I've just done a dusting, and I could really probably drop that down to 3.5 if I really wanted to. So probably drop it to 4 pretty soon, just for a few weeks, just have a play around with it, and then bring it back up to 5 as we cool off. But
cool.
So I got the green there. Just that's more for my benefit, to keep my finger in the pie, shortcut turf.
Yeah.
I've got some sapphire buffalo around the southern side of the house, which is for shade purposes in winter time. Don't overly love buffalo, to be honest with you, but it suits a purpose.
Yeah, sure.
And out the front, I've got Santa Ana, and then for the last 12 months, it's about 12 months now that I laid Tiff Tuff.
Yes.
So I've got my Tiff Tuff on the main side, and I've really found with Tiff Tuff, less is more when it comes to fertiliser. It's as low maintenance as you want it to be.
Yeah.
Or it can be as high maintenance as you want it to be.
Yeah.
So
we've found the same thing. If there's ever an issue with it, it stems from too much love.
Yes.
I think a lot of the time.
And I think why it works for me is we're in a dry climate.
Yeah.
So it doesn't need, and I can see that it doesn't ask for the amount of water that the Santa Ana asks for.
Yep.
I can see that firsthand. And being a shift worker, I don't always get time to get on it as much as I'd like.
Yeah.
And I'm finding that not being able to spend as much time on it is not hurting it in any way.
Yeah.
Like it does tend to glow in the dark on certain occasions.
Yeah.
So, and that's not iron. I couldn't tell you the last time I put iron on it.
Yeah.
I just mow it.
Right. So
I just mow it, and occasionally a bit of liquid and maybe a granular as required.
Yeah. And speaking of mowing, you mentioned before, if you've got a 200 square metre front yard, it might take you 15, 20 minutes. How long does it take you to mow your front yard now?
How long can it take me? About 3 minutes.
What'd you buy?
So I went and bought a Toro Greensmaster 3250. So basically it's a ride-on greens mower.
Yeah.
And I've got that set at 12 mil. And that's my mower.
So you cut the tiff at 12 mil.
Cut the tiff at 12 mil.
And you have a couple of little projects on the centre each year. You oversow that.
I oversow that. In times gone by, I've oversown.
Yeah.
Which always gets a good theatrical effect.
Yes. This
time round, I don't think I'm going to do it this season. I'm just going to leave the two cooches side by side.
Okay. Yeah.
And I just want to see colours.
Yep.
I just want to let them do their thing and see how they both handle a Hunter Valley winter.
How cold do you get?
We hover around the 0. And we may get into the negatives for a few hours.
So you'll frost.
We'll frost,
yeah,
but not like perhaps orange,
yeah,
or some other places.
Yeah.
So we might get 1 or 2 -3s or -4s a winter, but we'll generally sort of get down to -1. -1's about us, and it's only for a few hours.
Yeah, we could see what they both do.
Yeah, so that's my thought this year is rather than just blanketing the rye, just going to leave the two cooches and just see how.
Yeah, nice one.
Yeah, so I like to tinker like that. I like to sort of have a play around.
Yeah.
Because if there's a rule book, I'm not a rule book follower. I just do my thing. I run my race and I experiment.
You're actually, I think you'd be one of the few people in Australia to actually have this, but you have a small Durban grass patch, don't you?
I do. So I have actually, I thought I'd lost my Durban grass. So long story short, Durban grass is a grass that really only came to Australia by chance.
Right.
And it turned up in the Brisbane Botanical Gardens, and they reckon it actually escaped from someone's herbarium box.
Okay.
Way back in the day.
Yeah.
From South Africa or somewhere like that, because that's fairly native to it there. So I managed to get some from a mate of mine. They've got a big cattle station out in Western Queensland, and they had this stuff under the shade of their trees in their house yard. And I remember seeing it at TAFE, and I went, "That's Durban grass." She says, "No, that's sweet smother grass." I went, "Okay, that's sweet smother grass," because it goes for a few different names.
Yeah.
So I harvested some, and at my old place, my whole front lawn was Durban grass. So when I then moved and built the new place, I took some sprigs or runners and I planted them all over the block. And then we hit a really bad drought and I couldn't find any. And then lo and behold, one day I was walking around and I stumbled across a tiny little piece.
Popped back up. Yeah.
So I rescued it. And now I think I've got 10 square meters of it now, and it's lush.
I've got to talk to you about that because you did send me some the other year.
Yep.
And if you ask where it is, I won't be able to show you because we had a small irrigation issue and it's died. So we'll have to get some more of that.
Right.
And a lot of people will see on your channel the small patch of research zoysia.
Yes, so there is a small patch of research zoysia there.
Yeah.
I'm actually really impressed with that stuff.
Yeah.
Because it handles the shortcut. Again, it doesn't require a lot of input to look the way it does.
Yeah.
So we're hoping to extend that trial now. So I've sprigged out an entire section. So hoping to actually change the Santa Ana green out and just expand, expand the whole trial across and see what it's like to live with on a larger scale.
We've done a lot of work with zoysia grasses lately, as you've seen around here, and we'll see in your video that you're going to film here too. But we find the same thing with them is less is more, and that can be a real low maintenance surface. So that'll be interesting to see. And speaking of play around with zoysias, we'll have to get you some of our new stuff. Zoysia Australis. I don't think you have any of that.
No, I don't have any Australis. But it's amazing the amount of people that take note.
Yeah.
Because straight away my inbox melted down.
Yeah,
my inbox melted down with people, is this the stuff? Is this what you've got?
Yeah.
And it went on for, days. Is this? And well, no, it's not what I've got, but it looks pretty all right.
Yeah.
So that's,
We'll show some of you some later on today. And just back onto your video making itself. So what's the key for you? If you sit down and go, okay, today I'm going to do a video, do you think too much about it, or it's whatever topical, whatever seasonal, and you go for it? And when you're making a video, what are some of the key things you try and do to boost engagement with your audience?
My biggest thing is, if you get too technical, people will tune out.
Right.
I like to take things, decode them down to that people can understand. In other words, if something's really complicated, I'll dumb it down and make it understandable for everybody, or something that they go, well, I can try that. I can do that. Rather than talk about C3 grasses and C4 grasses and all this stuff, we don't need to know that. Like, it doesn't make any sense to Joe Rogers, who's got a tiff-tough lawn that just wants to mow it or wants to look good. So my idea primarily has to be relatable, it has to be easy, it has to be simple, dumb it down, make it, not dumb it down because people aren't smart, but dumb it down so people can go, oh yeah, that's what he's talking about. I never understood what that meant.
I can do that.
Yeah. So, so that sort of thing, that's one. I try to do things that are relevant to the time.
Yeah.
So obviously renovations at renovation season, that's an easy one. That's a no-brainer. We're now coming into, the end of the growing season. So are we thinking about using our pre-emergence? Yeah. So, it's time to start thinking about that. And that's what this is going to do for you. You put this stuff down here, you follow the label, and, you're going to minimise the impacts of winter grass if that's your problem.
Yeah.
So it's got to be relatable, and it's also got to fit into my usual life. So I don't have the time to do a specific video always on something that I would have done off camera.
Right.
So I try to do things that I need to do.
Yeah.
And then I try to do things also at times that I don't need to do, but is an interesting topic.
And what's the future hold for the channel? What's your plan? Is it to continue growing?
Yeah, look, I'm going to continue. I'm just going to see where this road takes me.
Yeah.
Because I never set out knowing where this would lead.
Yeah.
And well, here we are.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have thought when I started this that we'd be sitting here talking like this, and all I can say is you must be hard up for interview guests because I'm here.
Top of the list.
Top of the list of B graders or C graders or what, or reserve grade. So I'm just going to progress along, see where it ends up. If it goes full time, then fantastic.
Well, you told me before, you're good at it because you've got a lot of subscribers.
I don't know about this. I don't know where you're getting this information from, because clearly you and I have been hearing different things.
No, I'm joking. So before we wrap up, move on, you may as well give yourself a little plug. What's your handles? What can we find? Where can we find you?
I'm in the usual haunch. So Facebook it's not is it? Facebook's just Facebook. Yeah, the Aussie Lawn. Instagram at the Aussie Lawn.
Yeah.
And YouTube.
We'll put some links on the screen. I'm sure they will. It's Aussie AUSSIE, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm sure if you've got a back lawn, front lawn, or if you're just interested and you want to see how you can get it looking as good as Brenton's Tiff Tough looks.
Probably better.
No way. No way. Jump on and check it out. But we do appreciate you making the trip, and we appreciate you having here. And we'll see what the future holds for the Aussie Lawn. Eh?
Yeah, stay tuned.
Sounds good. Thanks, Brenton.
No worries. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it.